Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the Cold War M60A1 Rise Passive Premium Medium Tank. However, before I get into that, I just want to notify you that this video will continue on from Tuesday's news video, where because this channel has now surpassed 100 subscribers, I am doing a prize giveaway event where each of the 3 videos that I upload this week will have a single prize to give away to a lucky subscriber. So, what do you need to do in order to get one of these prizes, I hear you ask? Basically, there will be at some point within this video a question that I will ask you, the audience, and all you need to do is answer that question down in the comments section below, followed by your gamer tag and indeed the platform that you play on, be it PlayStation or Xbox. It is hugely important, of course, that you include that information so that if you do win the prize, I am able to actually give you the prize. Now, the prize available in today's video will be 15 lots of ×3 tank XP boosters. So if you fancy winning that particular prize, then once again, all you need to do is listen carefully to the video. You'll hear the question that I ask. You need to answer it down below in the comments section, along with your gamer tag and platform that you play on. And also, of course, you must be subscribed to the channel. If you can throw a like on the video as well, that would be great. That's not a requirement, of course. Only the subscription, the answer of the question, and your gamer tag and platform are the requirements. But nonetheless, it would be lovely if you could give it a thumbs up. So, with that all being said, let's get into it. So this is one of my favourite tanks in Cold War, and well, one of the reasons for that is the battle earn rate. So this tank has an additional 65% silver earn rate, making it up there with the very highest earn rate tanks in Cold War. So there we go, that's the first reason to love this tank, the fact that it is a money printing machine. It has an additional 10% tank XP earn rate and an additional 10% crew XP earn rate. This means that it is reasonably good at training crew as well. While it may not be the best, of course, I find, because I do play this tank quite a lot because of the silver earn rate, that I do train the crews relatively quickly. Now, something else to note about this tank is, as mentioned, of course, it is a Cold War tank. You will find it in the escalation era, so that is era 2. Now, this tank does have quite a lot of spaced armour around the turret, so you will find that it is actually reasonably good at bouncing incoming missiles, and given how many missiles there are, particularly in era 2, what with well, the numerous light tanks and mediums and even some heavies that do carry missiles in that particular era, yeah, it's a very useful trait to have on this particular tank. Moving straight along into the main gun statistics, so starting with the penetration value, so the standard rounds offer 421mm of pen, with the premium rounds offering 430mm. The standard rounds do 480 damage alpha, and the premium rounds do 460. So my typical approach with this tank is really just to fire standard ammunition. It has fantastic penetration. The premium rounds don't really offer enough additional penetration in order to actually, well, in my opinion, make it worthwhile firing those much more expensive rounds. Not to mention, of course, that they just simply don't have the same sort of damage output. Admittedly, it is only a 20 damage difference, they are actually a high explosive variant, so you don't want to really fire those too much in most situations. I find that for me, when firing the gun, that consistency in damage is more important than the one-off sort of higher peak damage. Not necessarily applicable here, of course, but in other tanks where that may well be the case, you'll see that I tend to just fire the standard rounds as opposed to gamble. So, moving on from there, the fire rate of this tank, without any influencing factors, is 7.14 rounds per minute. That makes the reload 8.4 seconds. The aim time is 1.9 seconds, and the accuracy is 0.33. Moving on then, the gun depression, 9 degrees. That's quite respectable, I would say. You can't really ask for too much more than that. Not many tanks really offer much more than that, to be perfectly honest. Gun elevation is also pretty good at 19 degrees, so you are able to shoot enemies that may be on a cliff if you are indeed on the side of a hill. And needing to look up, that can be quite difficult, for instance. So yeah, that will assist you greatly in scenarios such as that. The maximum forward speed of this tank is 46.3 kilometers an hour. Now, that is probably one of the few downsides of this tank, but all things relative, at least in Cold War, this tank is actually relatively slow. You can, of course, improve it a little bit with the appropriate consumables and crew skills and, of course, equipment, but I personally don't bother with that. I just stick with the standard speed for the most part. I find that it is okay in most scenarios. You tend to be able to adapt. You won't necessarily want to climb very long hills, so Westfield, for instance, can sometimes prove to be a bit of a challenge as to where you go on that map, what with it being made of pretty much entirely hills. But nonetheless, you can quite easily make do on this particular tank, as that gun really does make up for this particular shortcoming when it comes to top speed. The top reverse speed of the tank is 20 kilometers an hour, so you won't be going anywhere backwards very quickly, but the fire chance is only 10%, which isn't too bad. I would say it does warrant putting a fire extinguisher on it. I am a bit overcautious, I think is fair to say, when it comes to that. I know that not everyone goes for the whole fire extinguisher approach, but you know, you do you. From there, I would say that it has a relatively decent signal range at 590 meters. That will be pretty good. You'll be able to spot quite a few enemies with this tank, assuming you're not competing too much with light tanks. Finally, wrapping up the sort of basic statistics of this tank. You will find that the vision range is 505 meters, which again isn't too bad. The HP is 2,750, and finally the still concealment is 0.14. Concealment on this tank is relatively moot in that it's such a large tank, it doesn't realistically have any meaningful concealment, but that's not really what this particular tank is about. So moving on from there, in terms of the equipment that I prefer to use on this tank, it's got to be advanced loader, gun stabilizer and vents, anything that will help you fire more rapidly and therefore potentially gain more damage is always going to be your friend. Improving accuracy is also, of course, for obvious reasons, going to be hugely beneficial as well. So that's sort of my holy trinity for most tanks. Obviously there will be some exceptions with other tanks and so on, but for me and my playstyle, that is just the typical loadout that I prefer for the equipment. Moving on to commander skills. So basically with this, you'll typically find that once again this is going to be the bog standard sort of loadout for this. It does depend how many skill slots your commander has available, of course. For me, it tends to be relatively low most of the time because I use Cold War as a training ground for my commanders. So really just to address sort of a few of them really, I'd advise Sixth Sense, Born Leader, Rapid Loading, Steady Aim, and perhaps from there something like Run and Gun or maybe Snapshot. That's sort of 5 or 6 skills that I would recommend for most medium tanks really, as that will always be quite beneficial, I think. From there, when it comes to consumables, I mean, you've seen the gameplay footage, so it's pretty obvious what I think about the consumables. Once again, it's sort of my bog standard loadout here, so it's always for this tank, it's the premium repair kit, the standard med kit, and the standard fire extinguisher. I do feel, as I mentioned before when I was explaining that the tank has a 10% fire chance regarding the engine at least, I do find that the fire extinguisher can be quite useful because quite a lot of M60 variant tanks tend to enjoy catching fire, I find. But obviously, as with everything that I say here on my channel, it's all sort of my opinion and based on my playstyle. You do you, depending on how you'd prefer to play your tanks. Right, so here I am quickly interrupting the video. It is prize time. So the question that you need to answer to be entered into the prize draw is, what is the standard round penetration value of this tank? So I have answered this question already in the start of the video when I was listing off the key statistics of the vehicle. So if you need to, then do hop back to that particular part of the video if you need a refresh on that. Otherwise, answer that question down below in the comments. Please do include your gamer tag and the platform you play on, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel in order to be eligible to win the prize, which, as a reminder once again, is 15 lots of ×3 tank XP boosters. I wish you all the very best of luck. On with the video! In summary, I would say that the M60A1 Rise is a really good tank. Just the fact that it's got a decent amount of HP for a medium tank in Era 2. The gun is fantastic with that penetration and quite decent damage as well. Rate of fire, certainly once you get all of the necessary equipment and crew skills on board, is really very good. And overall maneuverability, I would say, is reasonably decent with this tank. It's definitely got to be, in my opinion, one of the better M60 variants. Tanks out there in Cold War. So yeah, I would advise you get it. If it goes on sale, then by all means do seek that one out. Something I did actually forget to mention at the beginning of the video with the sort of key statistics of the tank is that the standard gold cost for this tank is 12,500. Now, those of you who've watched my previous videos with tank reviews, I personally think that anything over 10,000 gold is perhaps a little bit expensive and requires some serious thought regarding whether or not you should splash out for it. This is no exception. While it is a very good tank, I do stand firm to that general philosophy of 10,000 gold is sort of my personal upper limit for most tanks, unless there truly is a very good reason to go for it. I personally could be tempted to spend the full price of gold on this tank, but as always, my recommendation will be wait for it to go on some sort of sale, be it in a bundle, just a discount event where they give it like 30% off or whatever, or indeed when they do those quote-unquote exclusive sales, one day this tank could well make an appearance there, in which case it will be probably about 50% off. And who knows, the way that we've seen certain things, it could even appear in a future season pass as a reward. So depending on what you've got already in your arsenal for tanks, will of course depend on your approach to getting this one, and indeed if you have the means to do so financially. But overall, I would say, so long as it's a good deal and it's okay by you as to the price of the tank, this tank is very much worth your attention. So that is it for this video. Hopefully you were able to catch the secret question earlier on in the video and enter the prize draw. I will be picking the winner at random, just like on Tuesday's video and indeed the upcoming video on Sunday. And from there you will receive your prize basically come the next update on Tuesday. Basically what happens is that I need to ensure that I have all the names available, and then I submit them so that you may have your prizes. So it'll either be this coming Tuesday, that is the 23rd, or very worst case scenario it will be Tuesday the 30th. But I should imagine it should be on the 23rd. So, just as a final note, I just wanted to once again thank you ever so much for subscribing and helping me so far surpass 100 subscribers on the channel. The channel is growing very quickly, very nicely. Please do let your friends know if they're not subscribed already and you think they may well be interested in my content, then please do steer them in my direction so that they can also take part in these sorts of prizes. I will be doing more things like this in future as the channel grows. Likewise, also, just a quick plug of my Twitch channel. I will end up doing various sort of giveaways on Twitch as well, but for this moment I need the Twitch channel to sort of grow a little bit more. I only have 13 followers on Twitch currently. I'm grateful, of course, for every single last one of you who have followed me there on Twitch, but if you haven't already followed me, then please do click the link below. Once you're onto the Twitch page, then just hit follow on Twitch, and then you'll be able to watch me play some tanks completely live. I can interact with you live as well if you wish, and yeah, it tends to be a bit of a laugh. So yeah, that may well be something that you could find interesting. Finally, I just want to also mention that I do have a Patreon page. I now have 2 Patreons. The latest one wanted to remain anonymous, which is fair enough, of course, but they've very kindly pledged $3 a month, which I'm ever so grateful for. And of course, Tragic Nemesis, thank you ever so much for your continued support on there. So, I just want to thank you all once again ever so much for watching. Good luck in the prize draw, and I'll catch you next time.